where writers and publishers meet. We have a great host of writers and publishers who've experienced so many different levels of this wonderful genre. So we are going to get ready to dig in. Hey. So we have LaShawn Henderson Middleton, fellow co-founder of Hartford's Lit. She is here
Hello.
representing writers. She is a published poet, author, board member for Journey Writers, Inc., a nonprofit organization in Hartford, Connecticut, and, as I mentioned, executive co-founder of Hartford's Lit. Hey.
Hey.
We also have Melissa Sujan, Dr. John. She is a wife, mother, social psychologist, university lecturer, grant writer, business consultant, mentor, author, and publisher. She enjoys lecturing, researching, and writing. Her professional roles led her to write and publish diverse children's literature with her two daughters, Olivia Lauren and Alyssa Simone, where they focus on STEAM education, diversity, inclusion, and universal design. Dr. John currently serves as the chief executive operator and blogger of Lauren Simone Publishing House, which you can go and visit at laurensimonepubs.com to learn more. We also have author Lindell Williams. She is an award winning writer and best selling author. She holds a BA in Historical Studies and Literature, a master's in Liberal Studies, and an AC in Women and Gender Studies. She is an adjunct instructor as well as an anti racism and gender equity advocate. Welcome, Lindell Williams. And we also have Miriam Sullivan. She is the 2018 Highlights Foundation Fellow, hashtag Muslim Girls Reader founder, New England Muslim Sisters Association editor-in-chief. Her company, Sabre Publications, offers a list of bestsellers, The Size of the Mustard Seed, Hind's Hands, The Princess and the Good Seed, and Yasin's Big Dream. If you would, everyone, go ahead and unmute yourselves. Thank you so much for being a part of this panel. I am going to ask Dr. John. Hi.
Hello. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you for being here. A lot of times people think of writing and they think of publishing and they think of publishers and publisher houses. Can you explain what a publishing house is?
Absolutely. So, a publishing house is a company that solicits manuscripts for a specific genre and a specific trade. So, there are several different types. There are those that are strictly scholarly, so those that write like academic books. There are trade books like novels and children's books. There are independent companies, and there's also regional companies that they only serve certain locations. And more recently, with the increase of self-publishers, there are now vanity publishers, and then there's also electronic. So you have audiobooks and electronic digital type of books.
Oh, wow. That's a lot. A lot of options to put your stories into other people's hands. So, as a publisher and a parent of a young publisher working with diverse youth, what key information would you provide for a young aspiring writer looking to work with a publisher?
So a really good writer or even a great writer pays attention to details. You'll see many books out there that aren't detailed oriented, whether it's grammar, punctuation, or spelling. So a key trait to develop is truly paying attention to detail, being organized. Another trait is being disciplined. So a lot of times people start books, but they never finish it. So you have to be disciplined. I know who are we talking about, right? Also having a strong vocabulary. You can't say very too many times. Like very pretty, very smart. So we want to find other adjectives You can't say many, 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 many. You want to find other words that are adverbs. Another trait of a good writer is to be open to changes. Sometimes people think of their stories as their babies. So when you're critical of them, they take offense. But you should be open to changes, right? If someone can help you to evolve your story, then why not grow, right? So the whole point of getting a publisher is for someone to say, I'm an expert in this field. I know what the audiences want, and you have a great story. Let me help you make it marketable. And then finally, I would say that a great writer is a passionate reader. You can't become a good writer if you don't read, right? How do you know what's out there? How do you know that your story is new or novel or different or even interesting if you can't compare it to other works? And the more you read, the better writer you become, and it develops your other skills such as your vocabulary.
Excellent. Um, let's see. Miriam, as a Muslim and publisher of young adult novels and other various genres, do you think an author should find a niche or kind of dabble and become a jack of all trades? What's your preference? Unmute yourself. Yeah. Oh, okay.
Okay, you were unmuting me and I was unmuting me
I know we
at the
going back
same
and forth.
time. It's so funny because I've been saying that to my students here in Springfield all week. It's like, unmute yourself, unmute yourself, mute yourself, unmute yourself. Funny. Okay, so teacher hat off. Definitely, I think that's a really good question about the niches. And it's like, where do you fit in? Which is really, I think, what you're going for. How do you make yourself stand out? And then at the same time, how do you make yourself, I would say, sellable to a publisher? And so those are really personal questions that you would have to ask yourself. What is your intention? And I think it really goes back to that as a writer. What are you trying to do with your work? Where do you want to be? So having a plan, you know, your marketing plan, thinking about, as she's saying, being organized and really thinking about where you want to go with your work. And because of the world that we live in today, when I started writing 15 years ago, it wasn't as broad and it wasn't as accessible to really get in. I had a traditional publisher that I was working with, and I really had to follow the lane that they were in for my work. I took, you know, the editorial cuts that were made because I was on a traditional publishing company. But moving forward, 2010, and here we are, 2020, I have a stronger voice, a stronger presence in the social media world. And so as you build up your social media following, as you start to sell books, as you start to build your tribe of readers, you'll have more clarity. But in the beginning, you really do have to have intention and purpose with your writing. What do you want? Do you just want to stay local? And that's totally fine. And you will find a niche in your local community. You know, as a brown born Muslim girl growing up in New England, now as a public school teacher, I have lots of brown Muslim girls that I can sell to and their parents. And that's totally fine. Because when I was growing up in New England, I didn't see myself in the library. You know, I had to buy Judy Blume, and I love Judy Blume, you know, but there were no Aishas in those books. There
Come
were
on
no
now.
Mariams. There were no Latifas. There were no Bilals. There were no Muhammads. There were no Jamals in any book that I picked up. And so my
Yeah.
intention just really starting writing was just to represent. And I was happy with that, you know? So I took whatever first deal that I could get as a writer. And that was okay. But as I'm moving forward in my career and the production in the publishing industry is opening, there are more avenues. And so, you know, purpose, intention, it changes. But I think really as a writer, you know, you're thinking to do it as a business. You have to be organized, and you really do have to have a purpose and an intention and a plan. There's